We begin our journey on the foggy roads of Scotland, where Andrew Carnegie first saw the light of day in 1835. Was published in 1835. Young Andrew was born into an unusual family. His family was a humble weaver. A humble weaving craft, a tradition maintained by his father, William Carnegie, and his paternal grandfather. The maternal side of his family tree branched in the other direction. Andrew's mother, Margaret Morrison Carnegie, came from a family involved in leather and shoemaking, shoe production. However, she was not just a housewife, but the daughter of George Lauder, the politician through whom the heroics of the Scottish Robert Bruce, Rob Roy, and William Wallace were born in the mind of young Andrew. The daily life of the Carnegie family was dominated by the quaintness of their weaving cottage and the impending industrial revolution. It was a period of transformation that changed the social structure and economic vitality of Scotland. Dunfermline. Dunfermline itself was a centre of textile production, but as factory systems replaced traditional handlooms, the family's fortunes deteriorated. Replaced traditional handlooms. This caused weavers such as William Carnegie to experience financial difficulties. Financial difficulties casting a shadow of poverty over their lives. William was more than just that, however. He was a passionate supporter of the Chartist movement, which called for broad political and social cooperation. Movement that called for sweeping political and social reforms. On the other hand, Margaret Morrison. The Carnegie family was also politically active, adding another layer to Andrew's views on social responsibility. 2. Social responsibility. But how did teenager Andrew navigate the world that was changing under his feet? With his feet? The answer lies in his tireless pursuit of self-education. Formal schooling took a backseat. Formal education faded into the background, and Andrew immersed himself in books and night schools, supported by family tradition, who valued intellectual rigor and political activism. Libraries became his refuge, thanks to Uncle George introducing him to literary masterpieces and historical narratives. These early experiences instilled in him a love of libraries and a philanthropic fervor to create these repositories of knowledge throughout England. These repositories of knowledge throughout the English-speaking country. But the Industrial Revolution in Scotland would soon not only transform the country's economy, but also give rise to complex social structures, trigger population migration to cities, and lead to government reforms. Amid these upheavals, it became clear that the Carnegie family needed to look for more favorable conditions. And they were helped in this by the growing magnetic appeal of the American dream, the idea that in the United States, one can achieve great success through ingenuity and enterprise, entrepreneurship. And then comes 1848, when the Carnegies decide to gather their hopes and dreams, cross the Atlantic and settle in Allegheny, Pennsylvania. Here they hope to find not only economic prosperity, but also the soil on which young Andrew can shape his indomitable destiny. In the early 1890s, Andrew Carnegie was firmly established as an industrial colossus, presiding over a field of activity that extended far beyond the furnaces of his steel mills. His steel company, the Carnegie Steel Company, became the backbone of global steel production, setting new standards for efficiency and profitability. Efficiency and profit. During his financial heyday, Carnegie was an indomitable force in American enterprise. During his financial heyday, Carnegie was an indomitable force in American entrepreneurship, amassing enormous wealth largely through steel production. His fortune was very extensive and included a wide range of investments, from income-producing real estate to a variety of commercial enterprises, to a variety of business ventures. One of his significant acquisitions was the Scottish castle Skibo in 1899, which he turned into a relaxing holiday destination away from the hustle and bustle of industry. You see, Carnegie's monumental success was based on two pillars: innovative technology and shrewd business acumen. His playbook included various methods to ensure Carnegie Steel remained an industry leader: vertical integration, strategic mergers, and an uncompromising focus on cost efficiency. These include vertical integration, strategic mergers, and an uncompromising focus on cost efficiency. For example, vertical integration was the core of his business approach. He acquired ownership of enterprises at various stages of the steelmaking process, from iron ore mines to railroad companies. This end-to-end control allowed him to significantly reduce production costs and at the same time optimize production processes to increase their efficiency. Further implementation of his expansionist ambitions was carried out through mergers and acquisitions, in particular, the combination of assets with the H.C. Company, Frick and Company in 1892. The move strengthened Carnegie. The Carnegie Steel Company gained more leverage over both the market and the supply chain. His continued desire to improve production efficiency led him to introduce the Bessemer process, which significantly speeded up steel production while reducing costs. This made steel more accessible and inexpensive, which changed the American landscape, making it easier to build bridges, skyscrapers, and extensive railroad systems. However, this quest for efficiency has sometimes resulted in a deterioration in the well-being of the workforce. The introduction of advanced technologies and methods was often not accompanied by the adoption of adequate safety measures. The introduction of advanced technologies and methods has often not kept pace with the implementation of safety measures. These tensions came to a head during the Homestead Strike of 1892. The 1892 strike was a violent clash between labor and management that resulted in 12 deaths and created a lasting rift between labor and management. This has created a deep divide between workers and management. Henry Clay Frick, who was the executive at the time, who was the head of Carnegie Steel at the time, provoked the conflict by cutting wages. While Carnegie was geographically removed, waiting quietly in Scotland, he gave Frick the right to act unilaterally. This led to a violent confrontation that left an indelible scar on his rich legacy. Indeed, this unfortunate incident was the impetus for Carnegie to engage in significant self-denial, which ultimately served as the impetus for the creation of his gospel of wealth philosophy. This ideological shift was markedly different from the mainstream views of his peers, emphasizing not only the ownership but also the ethical management of wealth. Ethical wealth management. The theses, published in 1889, argued that wealth carries with it a moral duty to benefit society as a whole. Moving from theory to action, Carnegie subsequently devoted his resources to philanthropy, laying the foundation for the creation of educational institutions, public libraries, and other organizations focused on the interest of society. Organizations. However, to carry out this philanthropic act, it was necessary to develop a strategy for exiting the rough and hectic world of industrial business and the hectic business world of industrial-era America, which means he needs a powerful ally to help strategically steer him in the right direction. An ally who would help strategically lead him out of the corridors of the ruthless finances of the Gilded Age. Bad timing. The Carnegie family deliberately chose Allegheny, an emerging industrial suburb of Pittsburgh, because of its rich economic prospects. During this period, in the mid-19th century, America was in the midst of change, fueled by the Manifesto and the California Gold Rush of 1849. The country itself was also on the verge of an industrial revolution, moving from the simplicity of agriculture to the complexity of industrial production. Agricultural simplicity to industrial complexity. The Allegheny was a mosaic of diverse communities, including Germans and Croats. The Allegheny was home to various communities, including Germans and Croats, such as commercial trading, meat processing, and leather tanning. However, despite these favorable conditions, Carnegie encountered early difficulties. William Carnegie's weaving business failed, and 13-year-old Andrew was forced to join a cotton mill as a bobbin boy, where he worked 72 hours a week for a modest wage of $1.20 an hour, about $168 in today's currency. Per month. US per month in today's currency. But Andrew, not wanting to be limited to routine work, moved on to a series of positions that laid the foundation for his future empire, which laid the foundation for his future empire. He held positions such as messenger, secretary, and telegraph operator for the Pennsylvania Railroad, which served as an informal education in corporate structure and strategy. Structure and strategy. His connection to the railroad industry was especially instructive. It taught him lessons in management and cost optimization, and allowed him to make invaluable connections with industry giants such as Thomas Scott. Giants such as Thomas Scott and J. Edgar Thompson. These connections helped Carnegie early in his career. Businesses like the Keystone Bridge Company were very important to the creation of railroad infrastructure. Subsequently, the Civil War strengthened Carnegie's already diversified portfolio, especially through his stake in the Columbia Oil Company. The conflict led to a surge in demand for both iron and oil, boosting his profits. Although he was subject to conscription, he chose to pay his replacement $850, or about $20,000, to enlist in his place, a common practice among wealthy men. By the early 1870s, Carnegie had diversified its investments across a wide range. The real breakthrough came in 1873, with the realization of the unrealized potential of steel. In particular, he initiated the construction of the Edgar Thompson plant in Braddock, Pennsylvania, which became the pioneering enterprise that introduced the Bessemer steelmaking process to America. Steelmaking process in America. Costing about $1.2 million, or roughly $30 million in today's currency, the plant represented a high bid. In modern currency, the plant represented a major bet on an untested industry. However, this gamble paid significant dividends as the plant not only raised the standards of steel production, but also fundamentally changed the structure of American industry. In subsequent years, Carnegie continued to expand and integrate its business assets, including such significant facilities as the Scotia Mines, Union Iron Works, and Lucy Furnaces. This methodical pooling of resources and production facilities created the basis for the emergence in 1889 of a powerful steel company that became the Carnegie Steel Company. Philanthropy. Heading into the 20th century, when the American steel industry was the backbone of a rapidly modernizing economy, legendary financier and Machiavellian J.P. Morgan saw an unprecedented opportunity. Steel was not just a commodity, it was the lifeblood of industrializing cities and the booming automobile industry. Cities, the growing automobile industry, and military production during the First World War. Carnegie Steel, Morgan, was able to create in his own image the United States Steel Corporation, a monolithic company that was global at the time. At that time, it was the largest company in the world. This acquisition allowed Morgan to gain an advantageous position in the steel market and use it to its advantage. Steel market and take advantage of the growing demand for this vital resource. Thus, the sale of Carnegie Steel in 1901 for $480 million, which in today's money is more than $13 billion. In today's money, this was not just a business transaction. It gave Andrew Carnegie the financial power to massively expand his philanthropic activities in accordance with his own moral principles laid down in his book. Moral principles set forth in his Gospel of Wealth. With this philosophy as his North Star and seemingly endless money in the bank after selling his empire, Carnegie proclaimed that wealthy people were morally obligated to disperse their wealth during their lifetime, and this sale armed him with the capital to make it possible. Him to receive capital to transform society. Carnegie's subsequent generosity left an indelible mark on many areas: education, peace initiatives, scientific research, and more. And others. Among Carnegie's most significant contributions are the Carnegie Libraries, a global network of more than 2,500 public libraries. Indeed, his support of public libraries could not have come at a better time when the American public library system was in its infancy. When the American public library system was in its infancy and was meeting the growing need for accessible knowledge in available knowledge. Thus, these libraries have become a catalyst for education and self-improvement for various sections of the population, self-improvement of various segments of the population, and mark the beginning of a new era of democratization of knowledge. Local communities soon became the financial backbone of these libraries, providing about 80% of government funding. Moreover, Carnegie's focus on libraries created a ripple effect, inspiring other local philanthropists to invest in their communities. These libraries were not just buildings filled with books, but centers of innovation that enriched their communities and continue to serve them today. In addition to libraries, Carnegie's financial legacy led to the creation of educational giants such as Carnegie Mellon University, which is renowned for its contributions to science and education. Renowned for his contributions to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In addition, Carnegie Hall in New York is a symbol of his philanthropy. This iconic concert venue has been the stage for many musical legends and continues to maintain its reputation as an architectural and cultural gem. However, the sale of Carnegie Steel also had consequences for Carnegie's personal fortune. Following his views on the distribution of wealth, Carnegie systematically drained almost all of his family's financial reserves. That's all for us, dear friends. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to write comments. See you in the next video. Good luck, everyone, and see you soon.